What's up, guys? Today I wanted to do a video on the iPhone 8 in this late 2022 as we get closer to the iPhone 14. This should even come down in price more. I got mine for $200 earlier in the year, and you can see it's at $134. It's $150 on Amazon. The price will continue to come down, like I said, as we get closer to that iPhone 14. This should be around $100. This is I believe, the oldest iPhone to be able to run iOS 16. I'm actually running it the beta software on here, and I just wanted to see how it would perform, and it's actually still very smooth, guys. Very surprising. So one of the things about the iPhone 8 is, the audience that I like to recommend it to is that, of course, anybody on a very, extreme budget and you only have like 100, bucks to spend, you need something reliable. This is a really good option for anybody who wants something that's very small. Also, for anybody who has an Android phone and you want to use FaceTime, you want to use iMessage, you want to see what iOS 16 is all about, this is a very low investment option as well too. So definitely consider that if you are, a diehard Android, but you also need a device that you can FaceTime and do stuff like that, use iMessage. Consider the iPhone 8, like I said, very low investment device here. So I want to go over this device. It has the same body style, or I would say the SE 2020. It has the same body style as that, basically, because it is. The SE just takes from this design pretty much. And it's very comfortable in the hand. So anybody who likes small phones, you'll really like the iPhone 8 here. It has the 4.7-inch Retina IPS display. You really can't find any phones this size with a 4.7-inch display. So it's a very small phone, and it's extremely comfortable compared to just the massive phones we have these days at 6.8, 6.9 inches here. And the screen actually still looks somewhat pretty good, actually. So it really doesn't look any different from the iPhone, the SE 2022 that came out this year. It still is actually pretty sharp when we look at icons and stuff like that, since it does have, that pretty high PPI for such a small screen. It still looks sharp to the eye, so I actually don't have any problems with the screen. And also, one thing that you could like about the iPhone is that this phone does not have any type of notch or anything like that. So when you're watching videos or you're playing games and stuff like that, you don't get any type of intrusion on the display. Which is really nice. It's also fairly somewhat bright. Again, it can be you can struggle a little bit outdoors, but overall it's a fairly bright panel as well. Now you're probably wondering, like, what is the gaming performance like on this phone in general, and it's actually somewhat pretty decent actually. So we do have the Apple A11 chip on here. This one does have 64 gigs, and then it's got 2 gigs of RAM. Just playing PUBG, we are able to play at, smooth extreme, but we're not able to, these are high settings, so we can't do HDR extreme or anything like that. But you will notice the occasional frame rate drops. Sometimes I think the best way to play games on here is to make sure you don't have any other games playing, and then it kind of smooths itself out a little bit. But for $100, it's very smooth, and it'll beat like any generic phone that you would pick up at Walmart, or just some random generic phone. It actually will beat it in graphics and the benchmark performance as well too. So it's actually somewhat still a decent chip for, like I said, $100. Like I said, PUBG runs really smooth on this phone here. One thing I noticed, like during long periods of gaming, it can get a little bit hot. Now most people will have a case on it, so they might not notice. But that was one thing. Like, you play games on here like for a long time, the phone starts to heat up a little bit. One thing that I definitely noticed here. And also, you guys can check out the Geekbench scores on here too, and you guys can see it does a pretty good job at the Geekbench scores, especially if you compare it to other phones. I always thought that was funny. So Apple always has these really strong chips that last a really long time. So you can see, like, I'm bouncing in and out of applications and stuff like that, and we're not getting like a bunch of lag and stuff like that. So that's one of my main concerns with these older phones. It's like, am I going to experience lag when I'm just doing basic stuff, when I'm just scrolling, when I'm bouncing in and out of applications? Is the phone still usable, right? And this phone is actually still pretty usable. It really does not lag. It's pretty fast at doing like your basic tasks. So that is like my main thing. And that's what I think a lot of people, when they buy a $100 phone, they're not trying to do a bunch of fancy stuff. They just want the phone to work and not be lagging all over the place. And this phone will get it done. A lot of those $100 phones that you will see, they will start to run fine, and then like give it like a month or two and watch how laggy they get. But this will be pretty consistent when it comes to performance. So definitely it's still, you know, somewhat decent. Yeah, you will have those occasional stutters, but it's much smoother than you would expect. Now let's talk about some of the additional features on this phone. So we do have IP67 dust and water resistance, so you're able to get this phone wet and it won't break immediately. And this is also a glass and metal phone, so it does have that, you know, that premium feel to it, a really nice feel in the hand here. We still have of course, our silent switch on the left hand side. And then what a lot of people actually like is this Touch ID button. It's very, very nice. If you want a phone with a physical home button, then you know you really like this phone as well too. And also you do have on here the wireless charging as well too, which is really nice. So you do get wireless charging for $100. So just to be able to put this phone down and it starts charging is always a nice addition to have. And as far as iOS 16, it has a lot of the new like customization stuff that you would see on the newer iPhones. So it's pretty much all still here. So it's not like missing anything from my knowledge, right? This could change during the final, right? But a lot of the customizations and stuff is still here. You're still able to do a lot of customizing with this phone. So I was really happy to see that they didn't cut back a ton of features on this phone here. The speaker quality is fine on here. It does have dual speakers. The S22 Ultra. So watching videos and stuff like that, you know, until they make an update, it's fine. The speakers have a pretty good amount of bass. If you block this speaker out, the top speaker, it does have somewhat of good quality. So like I said, it's not like the best, obviously, but it is decent for a stereo speaker, which is nice. So I also want to talk about the camera. So the cameras, definitely, you can see the aging of the cameras a little bit here, especially if you take it out of any type of good lighting situation. You will definitely see images start to soft, grainy images and stuff like that. In good lighting conditions, you actually get somewhat of a good shot with this phone, which is pretty nice. But like I said, the cameras on here, they're just kind of okay. It's not anything like that would be like super crazy or anything like that. Sometimes it'll have white balance issues and stuff like that. Like I said, detail, you know, the dynamic range is just okay. But like I said, from these shots, I mean, honestly, you let me know how you guys feel about the cameras. So it's got a 12 megapixel standard. It can shoot actually in 4K 24. I actually thought the video was pretty decent as well too. Shooting 4K 24 through 60. You have a 7 megapixel selfie cam that shoots in 1080p. Like I said, the image quality, it has aged a little bit. Definitely, you know, just for me using newer phones and stuff like that, even budget phones. But I think in good lighting, you can still pull off a pretty decent shot out of this phone. You guys can see the images for yourself. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the image quality, but I think they're pretty decent in good lighting. All right, so lastly, here's the thing with this phone. So before you buy one of these phones, especially if you get it off of eBay, you want to ask for battery health, because these phones typically will die pretty fast. So this phone has a somewhat small battery, 1,821 milliamps. Like I said, it does have 18 watt fast, not 18 watt, 15 watt fast charging with wireless charging. You can see mine has 84% battery health. You could typically, if you have somewhat decent battery health, these phones typically go for 4 hours, 3 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time, which is not that great, right? One alternative that you can do is you can buy a battery case and charge it up that way. They really go for little to nothing, but still, the battery life is not going to be good on here, especially if you do a lot of gaming. Now, just for your casual average use, yeah, it won't drain as bad, but still, this phone can't get you through a full day without charging. It's impossible. Even if the battery health is 100%, the battery health is 100%, you're looking at like 4 hours, maybe an extra 30 minutes, right? So yeah, battery life isn't that great on this phone. Even if you have pretty decent battery health, you still can't get through a full day. But other than that, I really like the iPhone 8 as, like I said, an entry level iPhone for people who are on Android. They want to use FaceTime, they want to use iMessage, stuff like that. They just want to check out iOS, right? This is a great alternative. You give it to a kid, it's $100. You know, you spent no money on it. And like I said, they can play pretty much most games, not at the highest settings, right? But most games work on this phone, no problem. So be sure to let me know what do you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next